Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing out there and wherever you're scoping in from right now? We have a great special show that's coming on for you today. I cannot wait to introduce you to the guest I have in studio, fresh off the plane from Tokyo, the Paralympic Games. I am so excited to get this guy on. We got to have this amazing conversation. So as you are out there and getting ready to come in, you are on Hurdlers of Adversity, conversation with Mindsight Warriors. These are individuals who have overcome some type of a challenge and they see the vision. They see where they desire to be in life and they go after it. They go get it. Do you do the same thing? Are you out there? Are you trying to go get the medals that you are trying to win in your life? Or are you just settling back? You're just sitting back, chill, drinking your lattes and coffee? No, it's time to move forward. It is time to elevate. So we're on this show, and this show is all about uplift. It's all about pushing into your lives in the business community. Lynn Keir, what's going on? I'm so happy that you're on. Let me give you a shout out. I haven't seen you like forever. Where you been, lady? I've been missing you. I've been missing you. You're so awesome. You're so fantastic. So thank you, Lynn, for coming out from North Carolina. I do appreciate it. Yeah, and it's a special show, Lynn, because I got a gentleman on from fresh off the plane from Tokyo, and I just can't wait to get in that conversation. So mindset to mindsight, this is all about the morphing. It's all about shifting the way that we think about things. Mindset is where we are. Mindsight, where we desire to be. When COVID first hit and I had the fantastic Lynn Keir on, it was great to just see how she elevated and the things that she was doing in her company to not only just elevate, but to have conversations all the time. First time. All right, Barbara from New Jersey. Thank you so much for being on with us. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna have this is all fun. It's all about having great conversations with these Mindsight Warriors, Barbara. And so, Lynn was talking about, how they kind of really almost had to over communicate as a communicator, have meetings all the time. And should that be the way that we operate, so that we should always be in a space like that to elevate the conversations, to make sure that we all are on the same page of music and making sure that we're not operating in silos? I think so. So if you are ready to have this conversation, put in the chat box, ready, let's go, JR, let's go. We've been having a great time. I mean, I've been out all over the place, just got back from Huntington Beach, California, did a presentation out there to a group. Just got the news today. Oh my gosh. I don't want to, I don't know if I should say it. I'm going to say it because they actually gave me the form. I am going to be on the World Expo Dubai for Team USA. What? Leaving for Dubai again. I can't wait to get back to the United Arab Emirates. It's going to be just fantastic. So all the stuff that we do, again, it's all about that mindset. Where do we desire people to be? Where do you desire to be in life? So for those that don't know me, my name is John Register, and I'm a two-time two-sport Paralympic athlete, as well as I was an Olympic class athlete trying to make the Olympic team in the high hurdles, 400-meter hurdles, and the long jump. Combat Army veteran, as well as, hey, thanks, Lynn, on the congratulations. Combat Army veteran, and it was my wife, Alice, who said, my lowest moment when I lost my leg and had the freakish hurtling accident, she said, you know what, John, we're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. And so it was that mindset that she gave me that led me to a mindsight to look for what I desired to become. I didn't even know about the Paralympic Games, had no clue. But I swam for physical therapy, got fast in the water. Somebody told me about the Paralympic Games, and I actually fluked up, messed up, and actually made the Paralympic swim team 27 months post my amputation. And then after that, 4 years later, I learned how to run on an artificial limb, had a leg made for running, and boom, won the silver medal in Sydney, Australia, in those games there. It was just a fantastic experience. Came back, helped to build out the Paralympic military sport program for the United States Olympic Committee and build youth programs for us as well for the United States. I'm now a professional speaker, speaking across the world. You say, Dubai, can you believe it? What? Going back to the UAE, baby. I can't wait to see all my friends over there. So if you are watching, I want to know, what platform are you watching from? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook groups? Are you on YouTube? Or are you on the podcast? We're getting the podcast going again, and I can't wait for you to be on the podcast listening to this show. So make sure you're tuning in on that. I think we're going to put it on Anchor. I think it's going to be on. So if you are out there, remember to comment, to like, to share, to tag people in it. And we just want to elevate the conversation on all, because all you all are Mindsight Warriors as well. We have the book out, 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader, Journal Your Way to Leadership Success. You can get that on Kindle or something. I think it's on Kindle. And then please also subscribe as well. So here we go. We have this guy, I told you, he's just fresh off the plane from Tokyo. He is now a Paralympic gold medalist in the sport of wheelchair basketball. He's a corporate keynote speaker, business leader who has found his passion by helping teams and organizations reach their untapped potential. Originally from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, born with a disability. I'm going to let him say the name, I can't even say that, arthrogryposis. And he goes on to play sports at the University of Illinois in Champaign, where a lot of folks were there. A business partner of mine, Dylan Alcott, was a member playing wheelchair basketball. Now I think he's in New York at the U.S. Open playing wheelchair tennis. We'll see if he's going to get the golden slam. I'm not sure if he won or not. Maybe Ryan knows when he got over there I gave his name away. Oh my gosh, I just gave his name away, Lynn. So now you know. So man of faith, spending time with his family, and have a vision to see the lessons that he's learned on the biggest stage have a ripple effect across the globe. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Neiswender. Thank you so much, man. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You are on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I mean, yes, fresh off the plane from Tokyo, a little jet lag, not gonna lie, but I've heard that the best medicine for some jet lag is a nice gold medal, and that is very true.
Absolutely. All y'all that are on right now, Lynn, Barbara, give Ryan some love out there. I don't know how you do it, but just say congrats or something. Holy cow, you were on with a Paralympic athlete who just won gold with his team in the sport of wheelchair basketball, and it was a repeat.
Yes.
It was a double.
We went back to back, a 28-year drought, and then back to back. So just super grateful to be a part of a team that has the resiliency to fight through tons of challenges to get to the moment that we're at right now, which is gold medalists. So
let's talk just a little bit about that, right? Because with, it was tough training this year. In the last 18 months, of course, the whole world just kind of shut down. And then we don't know whether we're having a games last year or how we're going to qualify. Talk a little bit about that process from that standpoint. Lynn Keir says, congratulations, Ryan. So impressive, exciting for the gold. I love it.
Yeah, the last 18 months, I don't think anybody can really prepare for hearing that the games are going to be postponed. And to be honest, not even knowing if the games were going to happen at all.
Right.
For me personally, games get postponed, and I recognized that I needed to kind of put myself in an environment that I was going to be able to train successfully. And so after vetting out a bunch of different options, my wife was willing to move to Dallas, Texas, which is kind of known as the Mecca of wheelchair basketball. Tons of great players play there. The University of Texas Arlington is down there. Right. And so we lived in a long-term Airbnb for the next 9 months. And I was able to train in the morning. Then I worked for Visa in my day job the whole day. And then I would train at night. And I think what allowed me to push forward was in a team environment, in a team sport, you see your teammates working just as hard. You see no one kind of throwing in the towel, but if anything, we're doubling down, knowing that, we are the best team in the world. We want to prove that once again. And seeing my teammates do that on a daily basis pushed me to out of my comfort zone, to places that I've never been before, and literally pick my life up to move for that period of time.
What were some of the things that you did, maybe in workouts, because we're not around anybody during that time? You got to have to practice on your own or sneak around and try to find a pickup game if not get caught.
Yeah. So when we were when the pandemic hit in March, there was everything got shut down. At that point, we didn't even know if the games were going to be postponed. That hadn't been announced yet. So you're training like the games are happening in 2020, the summer of 2020. And so I found a house in Champaign, Illinois, because that's where we were at the time, that had an indoor basketball court, half court. And they were letting me kind of come in the garage door to get my workouts in. So I was working out by myself in a house that I had never been in before. And it put perspective in place, right? Like I used to say, I want a wood court. I need a gym by myself. I want all these accommodations, right? And now I'm in a place where I'm saying, if you can just give me a hoop, I don't even care if it's indoors or outdoors, as long as there's not zip ties on the net or it's not boarded up, like I'm game to train there.
So,
and I think that's what COVID did for a lot of people. Perspective shifted like crazy. And it allows you to look back and say, wow, how far we've come. I know that the pandemic is still happening, that we still need to take those precautions, but to look at where I started 18 months ago to where we are now, pretty incredible to think about the journey.
Well, we're talking to the great Teresa Edwards, four-time Olympian and gold medalist, I think maybe 5, 4, I can't remember, last week. And so she was saying when she first got started, it was an old bicycle tire hoop around the tree with the stump of the tree, the root of the tree was the free throw line.
Yeah.
So, playing in the dirt. I mean, you just get it done. And I think that's the whole lesson. We put that picture up there of you jamming, coming down the court against España, taking it, wheeling left, wheeling right, trifecta with the 3-point shot at the end. Nothing but net. Talk us a little bit about, you get over, because the experience extends. You find out, okay, you make the team, you kind of come to the camp, but now you don't really know. There aren't going to be any spectators. You're watching the Olympics and no spectators there. What does that do to your mind to think, how do I play in this type of environment?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I tried to do was I tried not to set any expectations, even though this was my first games. Yeah. I think when we have expectations and they're not met, that's where disappointment comes. And for me and our team, we knew that we were going to play basketball against the world's best. We didn't know what the fan environment was going to look like. We didn't even know what COVID restrictions were going to be in place. And, a story to just go into real quick. We get done in the semifinal, we blow out Spain and have a crazy great game, right? Like it was a game that a lot of people had actually predicted us to lose because Spain hadn't lost all tournament. And we come back into the locker room and we're celebrating, we're pumping music, and coach kind of tells us to hush down. He had something to tell us. And at that moment, we found out that an Iranian player had tested positive for COVID, and we had a close contact. And so for the duration, which was 96 hours that we were in Tokyo, we weren't allowed to leave our room. All of our meals were brought to us. We couldn't go do our laundry. People did it for us. We had a separate bus that we had to take that was very isolated compared to everyone else. And wow. It went from, you had the freedom at least to roam with it throughout the village to we've got 96 hours to win this gold medal, and another obstacle gets put in our way. It's just another thing. And we looked around and we just said, we're going to do it. We're going to get, obviously you have no other choice, but sure. It wasn't necessarily the way that we wanted to come out of that semifinal going into our final game, but it was just another obstacle along this crazy journey of nobody's done a 5-year, it's normally 4, and we had 5. And so just to have that, it kind of even spoke a little bit more to the challenges that we faced as athletes heading to those games.
How do you see that, Ryan, with, okay, you're adapting to this change. You get a 96-hour quarantine before you go into gold medal game. And you have to stay mentally prepared and focused. A lot of folks, as we are going into the Delta variant right now at the time of this recording, they're freaking out. They're like, I can't go through another one of these things again. We're talking shutdowns. We're talking masking up again in different public places, outdoors even. What do you say to people when you've been through so much just to try to win, to put yourself in a position to win gold?
Well, one of the crazy things, and this yourself about sport, is sport and life have so many parallels, right? Sure. And the lessons that we learn in sport help us to live our best lives, to exceed in other things such as the business world, the corporate world, our lives outside of basketball. And so for me, something that I recognized was going to be super crucial was to lean in on the mental skills that we had been preparing for so long leading up to these games. And one of the things that comes to my mind is a lot of people, like, something comes up such as the Delta variant, or we're going to have to mask up again, or we don't know what's next. And so rather than facing it, we try to avoid it. And what happens and is that when we avoid it, then we actually, like, subconsciously continue to think about that one thing that we don't want to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, what we tried to do leading up to the games, and the encouragement that I would give to other people, is embrace the thoughts and feelings that you have, because they're real, and then say them over and over again until it becomes almost a boring statement. Like, you just know that, like, that is a part of who you are, what's going on in the world. Like, a great example that our sports psych guy talked to us about was, he said, it's kind of like when you've watched a horror movie for the third and fourth time. Like, it's not as, like, scary. You don't have as much stress as anxiety the first time you watch it, right? And he just said,
freaking out.
yeah. And that's me too. And so that was really real for me, because I was able to say, that's true. The third and the fourth time, it's not as captivating or even scary. And I think with what's going on in the world right now, the more we're able to verbalize the things that we're feeling, the better we're going to be able to handle those situations, because it just becomes another thing. It doesn't become the thing that cripples us, but it allows us to feel heard and understood and move past it and move forward.
So I was talking with Regis Woods on the track and field team, and you had a conversation on, like, a quick Instagram. I didn't know he was on, I didn't know he was in Tokyo, right? So I'm doing a live, and then he pops in. I was like, oh, dude, where you at? I said, I'm in Tokyo. I said, what? So we got to talk about this.
That's
and
cool.
He said that the village was kind of like a ghost town. That like other games, it's the busy place, it's the bustling place. It's where you're interacting with a lot of different countries and cultures, and the mess hall where we eat, and the dining hall is like the place where conversations happen. You sit with people that don't speak your language, and you just have you say, can you pass pass the pen, trying to get something over. What was your experience like outside of those 96 hours?
In the village, one of the unique things was that, yes, we had the freedom to roam and walk around, but when you were eating, for instance, we had the plexiglass kind of where you were boxed into your own, like, cubicle, you could say. And it was crazy, but, like, I would be talking to my teammate that was across the table, and he couldn't hear me very well, and I couldn't hear him, because we were just kind of in our own little area, and we were muffled. And I think when I really reflect on my experience, it was my first one, so I don't necessarily have something to compare it to.
Right.
But one of the greatest strengths that I think helped us collectively get through it is we were a team sport. Not that the Paralympic track team or other individual sports aren't close, but we have a built-in 11 other guys that are our family, that we've spent more time arguably than our actual family with this summer. And so you knew who you were going to sit with. You knew who you were going to hang out with. You knew your roommates. We practiced every day. We played 8 games in 12 days to stay busy. And so in the midst of something that we probably didn't get to do is intermingle with other cultures. And I think that that's a really big miss, because when are you in another place or another environment where so many different ethnicities and cultures come together, which I think is beautiful. I think that that's the way that the world really should be, is that we're all coming together. We're all sharing our unique experiences. We're bringing our differences, and that's what makes it stronger. And that's what makes the games so powerful. So we definitely missed out on that. But I think having a team sport, having your brothers to go through that situation with really helped the situation out a lot. And then other than that, we wore masks everywhere that you went. And there's hand sanitizer galore.
We are talking with Ryan Neiswender. He has just gotten back from Tokyo. He's a little jet lagged right now, but that's a good thing, because it's made up by show him that thing, show him that brain.
Oh, yeah.
Show him the brain. And so we have Harsh says, congratulations. He is on now. Yeah, Harsh, we're having a great conversation with Ryan. One of the questions that I kind of have is, kind of around that, right? Because having been to a couple, and not, one wasn't that great of an experience. It actually kind of got me fired up for advocacy work inside of disability. So the first games I was at, I was embarrassed of how the world was welcomed to our country, and with some of those things that happened there. And then in Sydney, it was fantastic. It was like a night and day switch to what was going on. I felt very valued, honored, respected in that. But still, the uniforms that we wore in track and field were the hand-me-down uniforms for 1996. So talk about the experience of being loaded up with the USA gear, and then juxtaposing that or aligning that with the 1,200 hours on NBC and Toyota really coming up to the table to make that happen.
Yeah, well, I think first off, I'd be pretty remiss not to say thank you, and thank you for and people like you for advocating for so many years to make an experience like mine feel like exactly parallel to the Olympic Games. It's the people that have gone before us, and I've heard the stories of the Dave Kileys and so many others that their experience was not like ours. And to speak to one example, it was the first time, I think, since '96 that we actually had the same uniforms as the able-bodied men's team. So Kevin Durant's jersey, he's number 7, I'm number 7. I wore the same exact jersey that he got to. Yeah. And just putting that jersey on, not only anytime you put a USA jersey on, it's special, but knowing that like it's equal, knowing that like I'm putting on the sickest jersey that I've ever had in my life is really special. And so I'd be remiss without saying thank you first and foremost.
It's not about the name on the back. It's USA on the front, baby.
Exactly. And then just to give some examples, I would get off from playing a game, and although there were no fans in the stands, it was a bit overwhelming to look at my phone and see how many text messages, how many direct messages I had. I had people saying, hey, I was in Boston and I walked into a bar and your game was on TV. I mean, I was coming home from Tokyo and people were like, we watched you like on national TV, like congratulations. It wasn't like, what sport are you, or what do you do, or what are the Paralympics? It was, no, like we've never seen something so intriguing. And I think the second piece that really comes to mind is the gear that we got. I don't know what it was like, John, for you, but I have so much gear that my parents just came to visit, and I didn't even have enough time to like walk them through all the things that were given to us. There's things that are still in bags because we just didn't have enough time to wear all the gear that was had. And, as a Paralympic athlete, I've gone through the moments where you don't feel valued, where you're wondering why your sport isn't being recognized, like maybe some of your even university colleagues that are playing D1 are getting recognized. And the Paralympics for me was that first place where I kind of said, wow, like we're valued. People love wheelchair basketball. I've heard people become fans of the game because it's actually been broadcasted. So many people aren't fans of the Paralympics, not because they don't like it, but because they don't know it. And that's what Toyota did. That's what NBC did by airing that. There's so many Visa. I mean, Visa has sponsored me and so many others from the beginning almost. I think they've been doing it for the past 25, 30 years. And so I just look at all the sponsorships, all the people that have come before, and I say like my experience was so far beyond what I could have expected. And it's because of the advocacy that's been going on for generations.
Do you think there is a tipping point? So kind of shifting now, because we got through the accolades, the gold medal. I'd love to know what, that ceremony was like, winning by, what was it 2 or 4, I think? 4, yeah. So I was like, I was glued. I was like, oh my God, my eyes are just bloodshot red because I'm staying up so late watching all the stuff. But as we kind of turn the corner now, you were talking about Visa, and Visa was really great with you to have a job through, and they're one of the companies that I think measure themselves against the Disability Equality Index that the Disability In puts together. And so they kind of drunk the Kool-Aid, and they're really coming to the forefront along with like about 50 to 60 other high-level executives in the Fortune 500 companies that have done so. But still, the demographics are troubling. Of when a person comes, so we see this great event that happens, And people with disabilities are part of that demographic. So we don't skew the numbers too much just because, we have almost 200 people on the Paralympic team. So if you slice that number in half, right, just for 100 people in just a segment of the population, those that have degrees, doctorates, masters, college degrees, junior college degrees, most will find themselves in a situation when it comes down to jobs to be part of the 70% of unemployed that we see with the numbers from the American with Disabilities Act. So when you look at that and you see companies like Visa, are we at a tipping point to where people see the value of individuals and that number might move? Or do you see this as, we may have to wait and see, or we just kind of have to have these anomalies that come out? What do you think?
I think we're starting to get to that tipping point, but I don't think that we're there yet. I think what we're seeing with racial inequality is something that I think is long overdue, and it's been a fight for so long and for so many people. And now you're seeing, because of what happened to George Floyd, and because of what happened to Breonna Taylor and so many others, I think that what you could say is the start of the tipping point where you're seeing organizations look to create equity in there. I would say with disabilities, I was fortunate to get a job with Visa, and I think that being a Paralympic athlete opens your eyes up to what can be possible. But I do think we still have a culture that puts people with disabilities in a box. And they say, here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. Here's what you should be doing. We need to baby you and put you in this space where you're safe and secure. And that's not life. Life is a place where you take chances. Life is an arena where you are faced with adversity, and you do need to, when rubber meets the road, you got to put your foot down and continue to walk forward. And, one of my life missions is to help people reach their untapped potential. And I think for me, when I look at people with disabilities specifically, I have a disability that is very recognizable. And a lot of people can see it when I just walk out to go get groceries, and so many others do. But we all have disabilities in some realm, and we've all been kind of put in this box of what can be possible. And I think it's when we have the power of belief that we can go from where we are to where we ultimately want to go. And belief is a powerful thing, and belief comes from trust, and trust is built over time. And I think that we all need people in our lives that help us grow. We need to be surrounded by people that push us to be more than we could be. And so when I look at the disability community specifically and the tipping point, going back to your question, I think that we need more people to see someone with a disability and see their potential, rather than see their disability and feel sorry, or see them as an inspiration just for getting up out of bed, because we're so much more than that. And the hashtag like show the world, I know that was a big thing for the Paralympic movement. I hope that it's not just for the Paralympic movement. I hope it's for the everyday person that has a disability, that they can show the world, that the world can recognize and see that when we're all working together for the common goal, when we're all pushing each other to be more than we could ever be. And that's teachers, that's mentors, that's the after school people that help with their homework. I mean, it's recognizing that it's not, oh, my grandma has a wheelchair and that's the correlation that I'm making, but it's no, that business professional, that CEO, that person in leadership. And it's going to take Fortune 500 companies like Toyotas, like Visas, to really push that needle forward. But it's a good start. I don't want to be the person that's so negative about it, because it's a good start. But I think we have a long way to go, really, to see the 15% of the population be treated and get opportunities like the rest of the world.
Yeah, I agree, and I was going to go because that was the other trending hashtag as well, as We the 15, right? And that was a great campaign that was started part by the International Paralympic Committee, talking about 15% of the world population having a disability, which equates to 1.2 billion people around the world, with a buying power of $8 trillion. So that's the crazy thing, right? So Lynn's ears perked up because she's in the banking industry over there. And I know that Accenture did a report in Q4 of 2018 called Getting to Equal. It was called the Disability Advantage. And it showed that if you had two like companies, company A and company B, company A hires, retains, and promotes people with disabilities. Company B does not. Company A actually outperforms company B 2-1 to shareholder returns. And so that caused the comptroller of New York State, of course, Mr. Tom DiNapoli, and he invests his pension funds into company A's, not company B. So that's the trend. The value becomes, I'm getting a revenue. And if you are okay out there in the business community with leaving 15% of the revenue off the table, be my guest. Your competition is going to beat you, not because they're feeling sorry for a group of individuals, but because they see them as a value add to their organization, and they can work from anywhere. Like we all found out that we can work from anywhere. So that is, I love that, how you explain that, and coming into that that mindset to mind. That's what I call.
And I just want to hone in on the fact that you said, like, it's not feeling sorry for them, but it's actually a value add. And that's the thing that I would double underline, is that we're not looking for the feel good story. We don't want to be the inspiration. We want to show that we have value to add to this world, to corporations, to companies, to things that we're a part of. And we don't want the job because we have a disability. We just want the opportunity to be in the room. We want the opportunity to get that degree. We want the same level of commitment to equity that other people have and have been experiencing for such a long time. So
Ryan says he wants to be in the room where it happens.
Yes.
Where it happens.
Little Hamilton. I like
Hamilton. So okay, let's jump. We're gonna come up a little closer right now. We're gonna do a quick little I call it my fab 10 or something. I don't know. 10 points. You got 10 points on the shot clock right now. 10 ticks on the clock. And what I'm going to ask you are just really quick, easy questions, I think, for the most part. And then you can ask me some if you so choose. But I want to kind of get these in here. And then I want to talk about your beautiful family. So number one, favorite pregame snack?
Cliff Bar.
Cliff Bar, love that. Ritual before your competition.
Listen to music, and that changed a little bit actually with the Paralympics, because we get there 2 hours early. So I had to slow that down a little bit and come up with a new strategy. But yeah, listen to music and get up shots that I'm going to take in the game.
Nice, love it. Who do you study the most in your sport?
I study my teammates, because they've gone places that I want to be. And guys like Steve Serio, Matt Scott, I study their moves, how they train, and you get an up close look at what they do, so you can emulate it pretty well and implement different things into your game.
Matt's a beast. I mean, holy cow. That dude. Okay, I want to pause real quick because he's in the museum.
Yes.
And you can talk to him in the museum, right? So I asked him, the question. So who's John Register? And then his little avatar says, I'll have to get back to you on that one. I'm about to throw a brick at his avatar. So
hey, you have to reach out to him and ask him why he doesn't know you. Come on.
Oh my gosh, dude, really? All right. M&M's, plain or peanuts?
Peanuts.
I never have anybody plain. Okay, it's cool. All right. Animations or cartoons?
Cartoons.
And how do you explain what you do to an 8-year-old?
Basketball or my work?
Basketball.
It's difficult. How about that? I tell them that I play basketball in a wheelchair and we shoot on a 10-foot hoop. But you know what? 8-year-olds they are so curious that they ask really good questions. I would say it's more difficult to explain it to an adult, because they ask the questions that are like the most obvious ones, that it's kind of like almost a little insulting that you're asking me this question. 8-year-olds are just fascinated by the wheelchair and how we move and those things. So
I had an 8-year-old ask me about my artificial leg when I showed it in the class one time. Says, "Does your leg smell?" That was the question. What your 80-year-old self tells yourself right now?
I think my 80-year-old self is telling myself now that hopefully that I've moved the needle forward on the perspective that people see of people with disabilities. And I've helped, I've had a ripple effect of helping people reach their untapped potential that have done that for other people, who have done that for other people for generations to come.
Love that. Who inspires you the most?
I think for me, it's people like my wife that allow there to be, like, she is so selfless and she allows me to go do things and pursue dreams, and is my biggest encourager and support. And I think if we had more people like that, I think more people would be able to go further in life. I think we have too many people that hinder us from where we're going rather than being our biggest cheerleader.
Love it. Awesome. Awesome. That's it. Those are the 10. Unless you want to tell me who I need to have on the show next. But if you got some for me, you can let me know. I'll do a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my questions that I'd love to ask is, you have a unique perspective of Olympics and Paralympics. And I know that you were an Olympic hopeful and you've been to the trials. And then also now you've been a Paralympian, you've won medals. And I'm just curious, were there a lot of similarities? Were there tons of differences in terms of experience? Talk to me a little bit about your perspective that you have of both games.
Yeah, it's a great question. The short answer is there is no difference in the mindset, because you still do the same things. When I was, competing as an Olympic class athlete, as a Paralympic athlete, to study your competition, to put yourself in the position to win, to use everything in the tool shed to make that win actually happen, and to see it modeled before you. So at Arkansas, my first year there, I redshirted, but it was a 1984 year. And that was when everybody came back from the Olympic Games. So Mike Conley, we probably know his son is a basketball player, but Mike Conley Sr., he just won the silver medal at the games, and he's ticked. He wants to win gold. And so he has elevated the entire Arkansas team with how he is thinking about how to push yourself forward. So either rise to that occasion or you got to quit. I mean, those are the only two options.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it halfway. You got to commit to it. And that's why I think, people need to understand about commitment today, is that once you commit, that's when the work begins. That's when it gets hard. It's not easy because you made the commitment. It gets harder. So what I would have loved to have known, I never go backwards. That's why I always ask questions forward. But to go backwards in this, Paralympics, the thing I didn't know were the things I was ignorant about because of being a new amputee. I just didn't know some things. Like, for example, I won silver medal. This funny, this is a sidebar, that some people had said that, oh my gosh, you almost won gold. Oh, and I say, do you know how freaking hard it was to win, to show up, to get to that start line, to jump? Do you actually understand? So do you know how many people actually win a medal at the games? And where's yours, by the way? That's what. So it's kind of, so that's kind of the one thing, this entitlement mentality that we have, that we just think that automatically because we show up because we're Americans, we're going to win. That's just like an entitlement mentality. No, you got to lace them up, put them on, and push the chair, whatever you got to do, and go out and compete and bust your butt to go get it. So the things I didn't know, I won silver, but I lost by about 4.5 inches to the gentleman who won gold from Switzerland. The first thing was my knee. I'm a through the knee amputee. I'm an above the knee amputee. I'm not a through the knee amputee, which means I lose about a little bit over a foot of lever, and I can't weight bear on the bottom as they can. So if we know anything about running, if you weight bear, you can put more force into the ground, generate more turnover, more speed. And so I knew I couldn't compete with those guys in 100 meters, 200 meters, just because of the way my leg was amputated. So that was number one. Number two was extension stops. Extension stops cause the leg that's going forward to not go into hyperextension and break the other way on my artificial leg. So I was breaking legs like every 2 seconds, the hydraulic units, and have to send them back to the shop. I'll get a loaner, I go out and try to train. So I'm trying to learn to run, and it takes me about 6 months before one of the engineers says, why aren't you using the extension stop? What's that? So it stops the leg from going to hyperextension. And now I can run. I'm great. I'm up and I'm now accelerating. Then the third thing was viscosity. So I get over to the games in Sydney, and the knee actually runs on a hydraulic oil, right? So the hydraulic actually, how much you put in there makes it looser or tighter. You spin a dial, this old leg. And I was overpowering the leg. I was so fast and so light and so strong that the leg was not keeping up with me. So the process then says, well, we need to get you a mount unit with more viscosity. I'm like, what's that? Said, well, it's more dense oil so that your leg will come back faster. I'm like, oh, if I would have had this like 2 months ago, I could have, trained my body to take the speed going into the runway. Did all three of those things impact the 4 inches I won silver and didn't win gold, right? So I don't think about that as a term of bitterness or I wish I would have. It's always forward thinking. Okay, what do I have in my life right now that I'm missing to get me to the next level? So I'm really cognizant about that and trying to put people around me and surround me that have more vision, that can see behind me. Like, birds of prey look forward, right? They can kind of see forward. Birds that go to hide, their eyes are on the side. They can see like behind them. So I'm trying to be like, a bird that can see behind itself, because I have so many people that are around me that can see things that I don't see, and they can bring that to the table without me having to pull it from them, right? I don't want them afraid to tell me something. I want them to be able to show up. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's what I see as far as, Olympic and Paralympics.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things from what you just shared is the fact that, experiences by themselves, they don't really mean much. But when we reflect on them, when we think about the different things that can change or could happen differently, it allows us to move forward and implement those things into future decisions, into future challenges that we may face or commitments that we may make. So I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's why why athletes, in particular in this conversation, really make great employees, because we not only are we visionary, right, but we actually see the pathway to get there, and we're willing to put the blinders on and be very narrow and focus right in on that thing, knowing that there are these other elements that can come in, right? Yeah. I studied Lucas Christian, who won the gold medal. I knew what he was capable of doing. And I also knew the mindset of Lucas. No one wins a back-to-back gold medal and is going to give it to you. You have to take it from him, right? Yeah. So that's the mindset I was going into that competition with, was I'm going to do everything I can to take this from him because he ain't giving it up. So I jumped 1 centimeter lower than the world record. So which meant he had to jump the world record or break it in order to beat me. So I pushed him to the limit, right? So, and when the chips are down and after it's all over with, you shake hands and you go off. You say, "Great job," and I can honor and celebrate him. Yeah, he was a champion, man. I had to dethrone him.
Absolutely. I think when you step on the court, you think you're the best, and you have 40 minutes to prove it in my sport. And at the end, if someone outdueled you, you shake their hand and you say congratulations, but you're going to do everything possible to make it as difficult as possible. And if you don't believe that, then personally, I don't think that you should be showing up, because it's the ability to think and know and believe that what you're about to do is possible.
So you said your wife is really supportive, and the same with mine. Talk a little about the family dynamic and not being able to have them with you over in Tokyo, and then they're kind of waving the flag or shooting you a text message. Great job, but I can't hug you, Dad. I can't hug you. Talk about that.
I think I can't talk about it without saying that it was super disappointing, just from a standpoint of my family they've been this isn't a me thing. Right. I didn't do this. We did this. Right. And this is a culmination of a 20-year career of my parents driving me to practice when I was 8, 9, 10, all the way up 2.5 hours twice a week. It's my wife sacrificing time together, vacations, moving across the country. It's all those things coming together, and then not being able to celebrate together has been really difficult. But I think in the same sense, just being able to come back and now get to see them and see and hear their experiences. I know that, John, you were there as well, but they brought Paralympic families out to Colorado Springs to have watch parties and have their own experience. That's the next best thing. And so I felt super loved as an athlete to be able to see my family really enjoying a experience, even though it's not the experience. For them to be a part of it that way was really cool. And I think for my wife specifically, it's one of those, she was a D1 athlete. She played soccer at the University of Illinois, and she knows, speaking to the thing that you talked about, what commitment means and how you get there and the things that you have to do to achieve success at the highest levels of sport. And so I haven't really had to explain to her why I need to do what I need to do. It's not that it doesn't make it any easier to be apart for as long as we've been apart, but I think her recognition of that what I'm doing is exactly what I need to be doing and the exact timing that I need to be doing things has allowed me to feel the freedom to not feel like, man, I'm letting this person down and I'm letting this person down and I have all these burdens. But it's like, no, I have the biggest support system pushing me to go win this gold medal. And when you have that, I think that's the secret sauce to really achieving something like this. You don't have to have it, but it makes it way more enjoyable. It makes the experience significantly better.
I think mine's upstairs somewhere. I always take it where I go. Actually, I go to the museum a lot now, and so it's the only place that's felt like it's home, right? And so I'll show it to kids and bring it out, and I just love doing that, and just see the big smile on their face, and you never know what the spark is going to be. You said something about your wife, which actually shifted me this year with my own, as I've been telling my story around, how we move our mindset. And I realized that in a moment, I can't remember who it was, but I was sharing the story, and my wife's name is Alice. And so she was pregnant with our daughter when I was at the 1996 Paralympic Games in Atlanta. So I'm toweling off, I'm watching closed circuit television, and I see this guy on the long jump runway over in the track and field stadium. And I'm on the swim team, like, now I'm intrigued, right? 27-foot long jumper at Arkansas, twice, went to Olympic trials in the long jump once and high hurdles another. So I'm glued to this set, right? Because I've never seen this before in my life, of somebody running leg over leg on an artificial limb. And as I'm watching the long jumper, Alice is watching me. And she knows what I'm watching, she's in for another 4 years, because she knows I'm already in Sydney, Australia, and I haven't even learned how to run on an artificial limb. And it was so real for me, and she knew it because she saw it on my face. And that's what Mindsight is. That I see it so clearly that it's in my existence. I just need to figure out how to get it. Right, I can see it, and no one can tell you any different. It's that crystal clear for you. Did you have that experience when you went to Tokyo?
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I have not talked about what beyond this looks like, and obviously he's definitely sitting in the moment of enjoying Tokyo. But I think when you're at a games and you're at a games where you've spent 20 plus years to kind of like get to that moment, there's this like energy where you just kind of look forward. You're like, I want another taste of that. I want to experience that high again. And I think there's a level of saying, I think I have more to give. I think that's one of the biggest things, is that not only probably did you see what could be possible and you lit up, but I think you also said to yourself, like, I can do that. And I think I can actually probably do that better than than other people. Like, I think I can be successful. And no matter if it's sport, life, whatever we're doing, I've always found that it's meeting passion with an ability to see success. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it's going to come naturally. It's just saying that I know I can. And going back, I've said this multiple times, but that sentence of "I know I can" is saying I believe it's possible. And then that next 4 years for you, that next, I mean, it's a little easier. I got 3 instead of 4, right? It's possible because you have that mindset where not only do you believe it, but to rewind real quick, when I was 10 years old, there was a coach that came up to my dad and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, your kid has like some serious potential." And when you say, like, when someone tells you, John, like, you have potential, even when you didn't think that like you were that great, all of a sudden you can see things and you can go places and you can achieve things that you never thought because someone saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. And I think that that's what catapulted me to where I am today. And it will continue to do that moving forward. And so I try to reciprocate that when I see something, and I don't say it just to just say it, but when I really believe it, I tell people, like, I see potential in you. That's why I'm investing in you. That's why I spend time training you, is because I know you can do it. And I see the hunger that you have for doing it. And so I want to be a part of that journey.
Love it. Wow. We've been talking with Ryan Neiswender. Thank you so much for being on. What a fantastic insight that you've shared with all of us. And I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, John. This has been great. And yeah, fresh off Tokyo, but I love being able to chat and share my story.
Absolutely. So we got to get you back on and your teammates and stuff, and get you.
Yes.
Get you. I want to hear all the backstory. That's what I want to hear.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have to do it.
All right. So stick on for just a second. We'll get ready to wrap the show up here. Thanks everybody for sticking on. Ryan, what a great guest that we had on today. So that does it for another show for Hurdlers of Adversity, Conversations with Mindsight Warriors. My name is John Register, and we have on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. KPPF Radio, The Tactical Advantage, is now streaming live on podcast on the Podbean. So make sure that you're doing that. Lynn Keir says, great conversation. Yes, it was, Lynn. Oh my gosh, it was just so great. Thank you so much for chiming in. And Harsh, of course, saying congratulations to Ryan. Just was fantastic. And then Barbara was on too, first time from New Jersey. Thank you for being on, Barbara. Really appreciate that. The book 10 Power Stories to Impacting the Leader, Journey Your Way to Leadership Success, is still out there on Kindle. Our Facebook group actually changed the name of it to Mindsight Warriors. So just go to facebook.com/groups with an S/Mindsight Warriors with an S and as well, and join us over there. And then we're getting ready to kind of close out, remembering that you are the inspirations. Inspirations are the catalyst to motivation. Motivation in turn causes actions. Actions lead us to transformational results, and those results, they re-inspire us or allow other people that are watching the process to catch the vision. My name is John Register, saying go forth, inspire your world, and we'll see you back here at another time. Bye for now.